But I also have another gripe that I need to get off my chest that I'm a little bit concerned about heading into training camp and into the season is the Steelers organization lack of adding to the defensive line. To me, I think this is a huge, huge deal for us this year, especially with an aging Cam who's asking for more money,
And a
who
longer
couldn't stay healthy
contract.
last year.
And a longer
We're leaning
contract.
on a guy with Larry Ogunjobi who's had health issues the past 2 years. We have Keeanu Benton who got hurt last year. Yes, he's young. We have Montravius Adams who's been extremely inconsistent. And then, uh, does anybody know? Has anybody seen DeMarvin Leal? Do we know anything about him? Who also can't stay healthy. This is going to be a huge, huge problem this year for me. I'm already forecasting it. This could be our Achilles heel this year. And the Steelers have failed to add any significant depth to that position.
Yeah, but here's a kicker, though. That doesn't seem to be the media's number one concern because we're not
It should
hearing
be.
about it, but we're not hearing about it.
It should be, though. Do you not agree?
I agree that we should have picked up another individual, but when you look at the way that the draft unfolded and fell to us, there was nobody there for us to get. And there was really no free agent to bring in.
I don't know. To me, it's very, very concerning.
The problem is we had too many holes to fill, not enough move let it go around.
Just looking at a defensive spend chart. Guess who is sitting at number one on total spend for defense? Yours truly,
on
the
our
Pittsburgh, these Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, TJ.
Defensive spending, number
TJ.
one.
TJ
No,
Watt.
I'm not talking about individual. I'm
as
just
a whole
talking about as
Oh, yeah.
across the league. We have more money by $30 million more than the number two spend
Defensive line.
in defense. Total defensive spend.
Yeah,
Not the line, just defense.
the whole entire defense.
Whole entire defense.
Okay. Yeah. But that's wrapped up in like three players for the most part. TJ's contract and Minka's contract.
And Cam's contract.
And Cam, yeah. That takes a huge chunk.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There are three players that for sure are taking up the bulk of it.
Here
But
we got cap numbers. Got cap numbers here.
And it's like James said. I mean, we added to that linebacker core, but we all know what makes great linebackers: the defensive line in front of them. We've seen it for years. Even the great linebackers have great play on the defensive line, and I'm just not sold on what we have.
I look at our defensive line about the same way I look at it as our wide receivers. There's talent there. They've brought in plenty to compete. Are they looking at being stellar all pro? Absolutely not. But they're looking at somebody stepping up to make a difference. And every year you have that position that somebody has to make a difference. A few years ago, it was the guard position. Hell, the last couple of years, it's been the center position. This year, it just happens to be wide receiver and defensive line. And you cannot fix everything. But we do have some young talent. And let's face it, there's another guy by the name of Loudermilk who really needs to make our break.
Right.
I think he's going to get cut, TA. I think last year was his make or break year. I think he's a depth for this training camp, and he's going to get cut.
Well, James brings up a good point. Be a shame all that linebacker depth went to waste with just a crappy D line.
Yeah.
What have they don't sign Cam. And all of a sudden we're plugging holes again. And
especially when you now, I know TA, you're not afraid of him. He's not who he once was, but we still have to face Derrick Henry twice a year now. Yeah. Zach Moss, who had one hell of a year last year in Indianapolis, is now in Cincinnati, and we had to face him twice a year now. The Browns could possibly get Nick Chubb back when we play them. Got to deal with him.
Yeah. Well,
And your defensive line has to get a hat on these guys to slow them up, to allow your linebackers to get there to clean it up.
well, here we are. We're not even to training camp yet. I mean, these, just like you said, I think TA said it. You got to, like, some of these guys got to step up. We've got to have new players emerging as, starters throughout this group.
Mm-hmm.
And you could almost look back on Steeler history. I remember where there was a guy named Aaron Smith who was starting to lose a step. Kind of reminds me a lot of where Cam Heyward is right now. And who was it that popped in out of nowhere? A guy called the Beard,
Kiesel.
who had been on the practice squad, who had, basically special teams player. And then all of a sudden he's thrusted into the starting lineup. And then look at him. He put on a decade of great football and was loved by all. Who's to say that's not Isaiah Loudermilk this year?
You just don't know. I mean, we haven't even seen him in pads yet and up front in person,
Right. Hell, for all we know, it could be Logan Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a very good possibility. I mean, I think everybody here can say that Keeanu Benton is going to be our future. But you're right.
Yeah.
DeMarvin Leal and Loudermilk need to show something. And then, you know what? Nobody's talking about Dean Lowry either. I mean, he is a savvy vet, guys. And even if we can keep him and throw him on the practice squad, because remember, that's the nice thing about the NFL now. We can tuck away a veteran player in the practice squad.
Yeah, that's right. Good point.
Again, if I look between our wide receivers and our defensive line, somebody has to come. Somebody's got to step up. If somebody doesn't step up, you know what I say? We need a new defensive line coach.
Or just more talent. And not guys that are borderline going to have to use a walker with Deontay Johnson's tennis balls on the bottom of them so they can move.
But you're not going to get that until 2025.
Well,
oh man,
it just seems like it could be the Achilles heel. It's just an early freight train forecast.
So do you see Benton taking a big step this year then, or no?
I sure as hell hope so.
I also too.
hopes and prayers. Here we go.
Yeah.
Come on, training camp.